Praiseworks Health and Wellness presents The Wellness Journey, live with host Linus Woods Mullins. This weekly program showcases the fun and simplicity of wellness for women 40 and beyond. Learn from the experts in the fields of nutrition, fitness, holistic practices, and spiritual fulfillment, and apply life-changing tips that will lead you down the path of total wellness for your mind, body, and spirit. Here's Linus.
Hello. This is Linus. I have to say a little bit about the season that we're in. You know, a lot of times I don't know when people might be listening to our broadcast, since you are able to listen to these broadcasts through our archives. But I did want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We are in the holiday season, the last few days of 2014. Thanks so much for tuning into the Wellness Journey Live. It's so great to be able to talk to you live on these last few days of 2014. And I don't know about you, but this has been quite an interesting year. We've had a lot of wonderful things that have happened in 2014 in our lives, I'm sure. And there's also been some things that haven't been so great. And what I've often wondered, no matter what time of the year it is or what the occasion is, as I'm assessing things, how do you get past some of those challenges, some of those obstacles, some of those frustrations that have really caused you some turmoil in your life? How do you get past that so that you can move on in an optimistic way, in a positive way? How do you get your inspiration back? You know, how do you get your groove back after you've been knocked down by some of the things that happen in the course of our lives? Well, today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how to get unstuck, how to get rid of some of that emotional baggage so that you can move forward in 2015, you know, full of positive optimism, inspired to move past those things and really, strike out in the new year of 2015, ready to tackle whatever 2015 brings. I know that for me, there is still some emotional baggage I have, maybe from like 2006, maybe from 1979. And every day when I wake up in the morning, I try to do kind of like a mental assessment in terms of where I am. What is it that's still kind of bugging me? What's eating at me? And sometimes it's those things that, you know, are just there that you've just never really let go of, that you still take it out every once in a while and pull it out and beat yourself over the head up with it, or take it out every once in a while and you want to, you know, go ahead and throw darts at that person that caused that anger or that pain. And the reality is, in order for us to really move forward in a well way, to be spiritually well, we need to be able to let go of that stuff and just put it where it needs to be, in the past. I always been talking about staying present, and I know that sounds good, but sometimes it's hard to do when we're always thinking about what happened in our past or worrying about what might happen in the future. Well, today we're going to be talking with Lisa Youmans, who is a life coach and has some great things to say about the importance of letting go of those things that have caused us pain and moving forward in a way that we can really enjoy our lives and get the most out of our lives. And we're going to bring her on in just a moment. Before we do, I want to remind you to make sure you have subscribed to Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond. We are going to be having new issues coming out in January. Go to my website at praiseworks.biz and sign up while the magazine is free. It's a totally free subscription. You can also click on the link in the show page, and it will take you to the sign-up. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to read these fantastic articles. So far, we have had over 80 contributors, 80 writers, and over 160 articles that have been written in the 5 issues that we have produced. And so the next one comes out in January, and this one's going to be all about wellness and the wisdom that you need to have as we begin to mature and age, the things we need to know to stay well in our mind, body, and spirit. So make sure you go to my website at praiseworks.biz and subscribe for your latest online edition of Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond e-magazine. This is Lennis from PraiseWorks, and you're listening to The Wellness Journey. If you've just tuned in, we have with us today Lease Youmans, and she's going to be talking, Lisa Youmans, I'm sorry, I keep saying Lease because her name is spelled in an interesting way. It's Lease, Lisa Youmans, and she's going to be sharing with us some practical tips and things that she has learned to help us get unstuck, to help us move forward from those things we've been holding on to so that we can really be inspired as we move into 2015. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the Wellness Journey today.
Thank you, Lennis. I'm glad to be here.
It's great to have you. Lisa, tell us a little bit about how you came to be a life coach and why you think it's important for us to be able to move forward and get unstuck with some of the issues that we have.
Okay. The reason why I became a life coach, at some point in my life, I became very passionate and had a strong desire to see other people succeed and live successful lives. And my journey started for me that brought me to that decision and to that desire. There was a time in my life when it just seemed like a cycle of loss in my life. I had a lot of instability. By the age of 35, I had lived in an 11-year time frame. I had lived in 10 different places, be it that I was living with family members, church members, homeless shelters, just several different places. I had multiple job loss, multiple evictions from the apartments that I did have on my own. And even though I went through all that, I still had big dreams for myself and for my future. But at that time, it just seemed like my only option was failure because that was all that I was experiencing at that time, failure. So that's how I saw myself, as a failure. And I was quite sure that other people saw me that way also, even if they did or not. But one day when I was 35, I remember I was living in one of my family members' house, and it just seemed like I saw my life spin around in a twister, and it was just totally messed up, totally out of control, and I had to make a decision that I was no longer going to exist in life and allow things to happen to me, that I was going to get involved in my life and begin to live a life and progress in life and live a life of fulfillment and go after the dreams that I saw before me. And at that time, I still didn't have a clue as to how I was going to move forward, but I knew that I wanted change in my life, and I knew that there was better things for me up ahead. And with that decision, it just set me on a path and on a journey, in my journey, to not only better myself, but at some point I progressed and I developed a desire to help other people, because even when I made that decision, I still didn't have someone there to give me the guidance or to cheer me on or give me the encouragement that I needed. And now that's why I became a life coach, because I want to be that person to push someone else forward, to allow someone to see the potential within themselves, to let them know that even though you're going through your circumstance, that you're not the circumstance that you're going through.
In other words, not to let your circumstances define who you are?
Define you, yes.
Yes. Why is it that you think it's so difficult for us to let go, especially of painful circumstances? I mean, when you burn your hand on a stove, you're not so anxious to go back to your set stove and burn it again. You're going to take precautions, and you definitely don't want to go back to feeling that pain again. But when it comes to emotional experiences or things that are tumultuous, many times it's just difficult for us to let go of that feeling. We even go back and revisit what happened. Why do you think that is? And what can we do to keep going back to that place, keep beating ourselves up on things that have already happened that are outside of our control?
I believe it's all within our mind, in our mindset, and the way that we think, that we allow our minds to continue to go back to places that we've long left physically, but mentally we're still there, because we allow our minds to stay in those places and to hold on to something, especially when it deals with other people, like other people have hurt us, other people have let us down, because we're attached to those people in some type of way. We feel like we have to continue to attach ourselves to the situation, even though we may be still connected with the person, and those are the things that we have to let go. And sometimes we kind of take ownership of the hurt and the pain that we're going through. We kind of make it our own. And even with that, like someone that's experienced a lot of hurt and a lot of disappointment, for me, it became like a way of life to me. So it was a way of living. So in a sense, it kind of became a comfort zone to me. And when you're in that state of mind and you think about moving forward and living free, that can be uncomfortable for some people. It's just like someone that continually goes back to prison. You know, the person gets out, but they do something to send them back because they're not comfortable living in freedom. And sometimes that's how we are. We become accustomed to the failure. We become accustomed to the disappointment. We become accustomed to the hurt, and we don't know how it is to live a life of freedom and a life of enjoyment that we see and we desire. So we stay in that place because of fear. Sometimes keeps us in that place, still moving forward. Fear of being successful. I know we used to say fear of failure, but people also have a fear of success because that's outside their comfort zone, and they don't know how to live in that particular situation.
You know, I hear a lot about that fear. That fear is what causes a lot of people to act in ways so they're not entering into that. And while I hear a lot about that, and people usually say it's fear that has caused, you know, some of this misery in terms of being able to let go, we need practical solutions to help move us from that. When you're working with your clients, what are some of the steps or solutions or tips that you give them to help them move past their fear?
Okay, one of the first things is to actually acknowledge that that's an issue in your life. Because once you acknowledge it, then you can face it and deal with it and go through the steps of overcoming it. But if you're going through something and you keep denying it, of course you're not going to see that as a problem, especially if that's a lifestyle that you become accustomed to. So you do have to acknowledge that this is what's stopping me from moving forward, and then you can take the steps to overcome whatever it is that's stopping you, be it this a mental issue, emotional, something spiritual, and again, the fear. You have to be able to face it and acknowledge it in order to overcome it. So that would be the first step to overcoming the fear. And also with fear, we have to do things afraid. We have to do things in spite of the fear. Because when we step out and we're talking about courage, it's not the absence of fear. Courage is really doing something in the presence of the fear. So we can't allow every time something comes up and we're afraid to do it, we can't allow that to stop us. We have to do it in spite of it being there. Just like the different situations and circumstances we may find ourselves in, and how we say we're not supposed to allow that to define us. We cannot allow our situation and stop us to become an obstacle for us, but we have to move on in spite of what's going on around us and what it is that we're feeling. We have to move on despite of our past. Even though you want to go forward and you want to reach your dreams, and there may be some things from your past that is still tugging you and trying to hold you back, you still have to move forward regardless of the past to get to where it is that you need to be. So first of all, you have to acknowledge that this is an issue for me, because if you never acknowledge it's an issue for you, of course you're just going to see it. It's just a part of your life. And then once you, yes.
Go ahead. Once you've acknowledged it, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying once you acknowledge, then you can take the steps to moving forward